Guys, today we're making prime Angus dry ribeye steak served with a roasted red mashed potatoes and asparagus. This is my first time making this meal and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. You see here on the table we've got some peeled garlic, A1 sauce, I didn't actually use that, Josh Pinot Noir red wine, vitamin D milk, the roasted red potatoes, rosemary, thyme, and then of course the dry aged prime ribeye. They're about $25 a piece. I got them from Wegmans. Absolutely delicious. And then you'll also see we have chives. Now we're going to add a little bit of olive oil. You want to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on the front of the steak, not too much. You also want to ensure that you flip the steak over and put olive oil on the back side of the steak as well. I typically like to rub in the olive oil. That way I don't have to add too much. Olive oil just absorbs the seasonings and it also adds flavor to the meat. Now that we've got olive oil rubbed in on both sides, we're going to add a little bit of pepper. As you can see, I've already put the pepper on top of the steak. I also love to rub in the pepper. It adds flavor. I'd added it to the front and the back of the steaks as well. Not displayed, I also added pink Himalayan sea salt. The next step is to put the steak inside the hefty Ziploc bag. You want to ensure that the steak is not too big for the bag and not too small for the bag. You're also going to add the rosemary and thyme inside of the hefty Ziploc bag, along with the garlic. You want to ensure that the bag is sealed and there's no room for air. What this does is it seals in all of the flavors for the sous vide. For those of you that are not familiar, a sous vide is a slow, warm bath that slowly cooks the steak and it really seasons it. It adds extra flavor and juiciness to the steak. So now that we have the thyme, the rosemary, and the garlic all inside the hefty Ziploc bags, nice and sealed, as you can see, there's not much air within the hefty bags. We are now going to double bag the meat. The reason for double bagging the meat ensures that water doesn't get inside the Ziploc bags. If you have water that enters the Ziploc bags, your meat will be watered down and all of the flavoring will be gone. Once sealed, you're going to insert each Ziploc bag into the warm sous vide bath. You want to ensure that your sous vide is at the accurate temperature. As we wait for our meat to cook at 133 degrees in the sous vide for about an hour, we are going to begin to boil our roasted red potatoes. I typically like to add the potatoes in with the water and have them boil together. I also add sea salt for flavoring. Yes, it looks like our meat is cooked enough for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the meat outside of the hefty Ziploc bags. Look at how juicy that looks, you all. You see all the flavor it captured. So obviously the meat is not fully cooked. We still have some work to do here. The next step you want to do is pat the meat down on a paper towel. You want to absorb any water that did enter the bag. And as you can see from the paper towel, a little bit did. So we're going to pat it dry. It does take a little bit of the salt and pepper off of the meat, but that's okay because let me tell you, honey, it absorbed the flavoring while we sous vide the meat for an hour at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. The next step you wanted to do is we added a little bit of oil to a cast iron skillet. You want to ensure that the cast iron skillet is hot and smoking. In this case, we used vegetable oil. You want to make sure it's on high, again, a high temperature, and you want to allow it to sit a little bit and smoke. From there, once it smokes up, we are going to add our meat. You're going to pan-sear it for about 4 minutes on each side if you'd like medium rare. I also added shallots to the mix to add a little bit more flavor. As you can see, the oil is bubbling. I also added butter. I typically like to use plant-based butter. just because it's a little bit healthier. You guys, look at this steak. It looks amazing. Again, you want to pan sear it on both sides for about 4 minutes each. From there, I've added some more rosemary and thyme to add a little bit more flavor that might have been taken away when we patted the steak dry. Oh, that looks so delicious. I cannot wait to eat it. Now that we've waited for that to pan seal a little bit longer, we're going to chop up the chives for the roasted red mashed potatoes. I like to cut them up in small little pieces, not too chunky. Our next step is to add the mashed potatoes to a bowl and begin to mash them. So I've already drained the potatoes and added them to the bowl, and now we're just mashing him here. I like my mashed potatoes to be a little bit chunky, not too soft. So from here, we are going to continue to mash them into our liking. I've added 2 cups of warm milk, and for seasoning, I've added salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. As you can see, I've already added it to the ingredients. It's a little bit smoother with the cups of milk, so we're now mixing it all together to ensure it tastes wonderful. Now our final step is to add the skillet into the oven along with the mashed potatoes. We'll let that sit for about 5-10 minutes, and then the meal will be complete. Here is the final product. I hope you enjoyed watching and you find it delicious as well. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment below, and let me know if you enjoyed the meal.